6. The winter I lived down along the lake, down in the bottom land before it flooded this lake. There's a Missouri River,
Yeah, it was way smaller, wasn't it?
and I had a team of horses and a sleigh and a hay rack, 8 by 16, and we built kind of skids on the side of the corner of the hay rack and had it chained down to the sleigh. So if it tipped over, it'd only go so far, and then you'd go get over on this side and bring her back.
How much snow do you think there was? Was there?
Well, they said that winter, if I can remember right, they said there was 36 inches of snow on the level.
And that was 1930,
6.
36.
In the winter of 35 and 36. Well, it was mainly in the winter of 36.
Were they cold too, or were?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It was cold, if I can remember right. A lot of mornings I got up and had breakfast and harnessed up my team and headed out after a load of hay or straw, and then it would be 25 below. And a lot of times coming home, I'd have to face a wind because that straw pile was east of where I was living, and I'd walk behind the sleigh and let the horses, they'd follow that track, and I'd walk behind it.
What did you wear for like clothing?
Had a big old sheepskin coat that went way below my knees, and it had a collar on it, kind of like a parka. And then you had mittens, and we had to call them choppers mittens. They were leather with a wool lining. Oh, you were dressed warm.
Well, I was, yeah.
Anyway, it was a tough winter, that winter, I know that. And I'll tell you what, at that time I got a salary of board and room and $15 a month.
Do you remember like train hoppers or anything? People riding the trains?
No, I don't remember that.
No. No.
But there was a lot of that hobos riding them freight trains. And a lot of these plain immigrants, you might say, they travel through the country, and I know, like in the summer when we had a good crop, and they cut the grain and with a binder and put it into shock. My uncle would hire a couple of them. Well, they were Mexicans to shock the grain, because that was all cut by binder. And then in the fall, well, I think when I started, I was 16 or 17, probably like your age. All bundles, I'd take a team of horses and a hay rack from my uncle, and I got $3 a day for the team and hay rack, all in bundles. To Leo Voide here, his granddad had a thrashing machine. It had eight bundle haulers and a big old Rumley tractor, and we got $3 a day. And you'd haul about 7 loads of bundles a day.
During that time period, what was the prohibition like? Is it?
That I couldn't tell you too much because I wasn't alcoholic.
No. I was just wondering if it was in fact here, if a lot of people.
No, it didn't.
No.
I know my uncle used to buy malt in quart bottles, and he'd brew his own beer.
During Prohibition.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't remember. I think he had Red Wing crock that held about 15 gallons, and it would get just about full with his batch of beer. And then he had quart bottles and had a bottle capper and everything.
Wow.
But that was illegal.
Yeah, that would have been because.
Well, I do remember though that there was three brothers. They lived down along the river, north of Mobridge here, about 3 miles or 4 up there. They brewed alcohol, corn alcohol, and that was bootlegging, and that was definitely out of on the line.
So there was still alcohol around
Yeah.
here, even during. Yeah, that sounds like it's.
They'd make corn liquor,
That is neat.
and that was illegal as the devil. And then there was a couple brothers lived north of there further. They'd done a lot of fishing. And Oldsmobile car that was cut down and made into a pickup. And they peddled fish.
Would they just net them or?
They made their own boat, and they used it in the Missouri River, and they put out nets, and they'd catch carp and catfish and bass and not much northern or walleyes, but they caught a lot of catfish.
I suppose.
Catfish is pretty good eating if they're weigh under 1.5 pounds.
Yeah, not too bad. WPA workers.
WPA workers,
That would have been later on.
yeah.
Do you remember them being here?
My uncle was in on that WPA deal. He gravelled roads.
Really? Around
Yeah.
here or just
Yeah,
anywhere?
that was out there by the farm. Well, where they went to that gravel pit, which was 1.5 miles from the farm, and then they went from the gravel pit to the main road, and went west on that road south of the Norway Church. There was 4 miles in there. Well, they went up to 1804. That's where they started graveling and heading east. I don't remember what they got paid for that, but they had their wagon and team of horses, and they shoveled the gravel on by hand on that wagon. On that, they took some 2x6 and they put a floor in there, and then they put a side on it, and the end gate held the sides apart. And then when they got to where they were going to unload the gravel, they would lift them 2x4s end gates out, and then they'd slide them 2x6s out and unloaded that gravel.
Because I know they did like Lake Malstead and Lake Campbell.
Oh yeah.
I believe WPA workers did that. What years was that? Do you remember? 40s, wasn't it?
Well, like Lake Campbell, that was done in 38. Now Malstead, I don't know when that dam was built. But in Lake Campbell, it was in 38, I know that. Well, like that Lake Campbell, there's a lot of walleye in there, but there's so darn much rubbish that you can't get into the lake